Hey there, fellow YouTubers. Phoenix Destiny here again, bringing you a brand new segment that I like to call Mobile Suit Corner. Originally, I had planned on doing this using the Battle Operation games, but since Next has been dead for a few years, and since the other game is honestly not my cup of tea, if any of my friends watch this, they understand what I'm getting at. I decided to use Gundam Breaker 4, the latest Gundam game, not counting G Generation Eternal, but I don't care about that news, to essentially showcase a lot of the mobile suits across Gundam history, and give some facts and info where possible, and even do a little bit of a showcase with it. And as far as the mobile suit that I've decided to start with, I figure if you're going to do a Gundam retrospective on mobile suits, you gotta start with the original, where it all started. And that would be with the RX-78-2, codenamed Gundam. That being said, the year is Universal Century 0079. There is a massive war that has broken out between the Earth Federation and the Principality of Zeon. Zeon, for the longest time, was fielding their mobile suits known as the Zaku. The Zaku was a pretty formidable mobile suit because it could be used both in atmosphere and even in space. And in response, the Earth Federation, for the longest time, they didn't really have a mobile suit that could contend with the Zaku until one day, a man that goes by the name of Tim Ray basically gave the Earth Federation the idea, hey, let's do Project V, because this could be our answer to Zeon Zaku. And the fruit of their research was, well, 3 mobile suits, actually. The gun cannon, which was a mid-range prototype mobile suit. The gun tank, a long-range prototype mobile suit. And the suit that you see standing before you on the screen now, the RX-78-2 Gundam. This mobile suit is a pretty simple mobile suit, all things considered. It doesn't have that many bells and whistles, but the weapons that it has are no less potent. Specifically, you've got its iconic beam rifle here, which packs pretty punch, and to quote a certain person from the anime, this weapon essentially had enough power to basically be equivalent to that of a beam cannon as big as a battleship's. And then as far as the other weapon you see it holding, basically every military unit always has to have their RPG of choice. And that would be the Hyper Bazooka for the Gundam. Pretty good for use against tanks and even other enemy mobile suits. Because goodness knows, the Zaku did not have good armor. That is its main 2 ranged weapons, and I will admit, there was a nifty little feature about the beam rifle that was used in the anime, or at the very least in the Gundam Versus games. The beam rifle also came with an undermount attachment known as the Super Napalm. Basically, it wasn't shown that much in the anime because it was kind of like a blink and you miss moment, but what Amuro did, specifically the pilot of this mobile suit, Amuro Ray, to prevent Zeon from getting his hands on the rest of the materials of Project V, he basically takes out a canister and he shoots it, causing a bunch of fire to basically spread around the colony, effectively erasing all of the, I guess you could say, evidence that Project V existed. Sadly, no Super Napalm in this game. But there is a weapon that has an undermount that I will talk about much, much later down the line. At any rate, that's the main ranged mobile suit. Well, this mobile suit actually was pretty much not just ranged, but also close ranged. And, well, it showed off its 2 ranged weapons. Now here are its 2 melee weapons. The first of which, any fan of mecha, or even, I will go ahead and say it, Star Wars, will instantly recognize this weapon. The Beam Saber. Pretty powerful close-range weapon in the anime. Like, in the games, it's pretty much, it does what it does. It's your typical sword. It cuts things. It's nice. And as far as the other weapon here, technically speaking, this is something that baffles me. Both with the kit in real life in the game, it doesn't come with its other special weapon that it used in the anime known as the Gundam Hammer. So the Gundam Hammer seen here is actually from the Turn A kit, but Amuro actually did indeed use the Gundam Hammer in the anime, and it's treated as a whip-type weapon. And honestly, I like its design because it heavily invokes the image of, well, a morning star. As far as the other weapons that this suit has, it has two different weapons. It basically, you could say it's its auxiliaries. It's got head-mounted Vulcans, pretty much good for CWIS duty. For those of you that have played Ace Combat, you'll know what I'm talking about. And for those that haven't, well, picture this. It's basically your anti-missile weapon. It's a pretty good rate of fire. And then as far as its other two weapons, it basically carries it in its backpack, as you see here, the twin-mounted beam sabers. And the only other facts I can say about this suit from the anime is the fact that there's two important things to know. The first is that this suit was special in the fact that unlike the Zaku, which, while it could function both in space and on ground, it could not make an atmospheric re-entry, as a certain Zeon soldier unfortunately found out the hard way. But Amuro was able to deploy this special filament, I believe it was called a coolant, or I don't remember what the name of it was exactly, but it allowed the Gundam to make a safe passage back to Earth upon atmospheric re-entry. And as far as the other big detail about this thing, this suit was created by using Luna Titanium, a rather expensive material that, for all intents and purposes, could shrug off Zaku machine guns like they were nothing. Seriously, the only suits that actually gave Gundam a hard time, rightfully so, was the suits that was mainly used by the Zeon Aces. Char and his red-colored Zaku 2, and the Black Tri-Stars in the Dawn, which is a high-speed mobile suit. And those mobile suits I'll talk about a bit later. But within the context of this game, Gundam's actually, again, pretty basic. I showcased a couple of its moves that it could do. But the thing I like about Gundam's beam rifle is that it's one of few weapons in the game that has two modes. It has like a normal fire mode, and a charge shot. Charge shots do a bit more damage, I would say, and honestly, the beam saber's pretty good too. Like, it can do some pretty good combos, and it even has like a hold attack to where it does like a spinning slash and it knocks the enemy back for good damage. All in all, the only thing I can say about Gundam is it does what it does. Like, depending on how you put this thing together, it can either be one of the most underwhelming suits, or it can be one of the best. Pretty much kind of synonymous with what Gundam Breaker's all about, improving your mobile suits. And I'd say as far as designs go, it's got a pretty solid design. It's got that typical Universal Century angles and bulk. Specifically, a lot of mobile suits in Universal Century use angles and bulk in their design, and honestly, it's a pretty cool design. And as a little bit of a fun fact for this mobile suit, specifically for this iteration in Gundam Breaker, this is actually supposed to be based off of the most recent Real Grade re-release, which is actually pretty cool. I'm not even going to lie. There's not really much more I can say about this mobile suit, so yeah, the RX-78-2 Gundam, codenamed as the White Devil for its feats during the 1-Year War. And, well, that's really all I can say about it, so until next time, Gundam fans.